Very happy it is now September in Seattle, which means I can go back to dressing like I got lost on the way to a logging camp. The summer was fun, but it was rough. Smoke, heat, Jesus, man, I can't handle it. I'm a human furnace anyway. It's like fat people are not good in the heat. But anyways, every 3-4 months I like to go into a Walmart just to check in with America. Because I live in Seattle, which is technically America, but the places where they put the Walmarts, that's America, right? I like to go in there to see what's going on there. I also like going to Walmart just because walking around with a giant iced coffee being a mediocre white shit's kind of comforting. But I also go because it just cracks me up to watch the fucking madhouse that is a Walmart. You guys, you've been in the one? Jesus, it's a nightmare in there. And it's night and day. You step across that threshold into a Walmart, you have crossed into a zone where chill no longer exists. I'm legit surprised there is not violence happening in a Walmart on a regular basis. I mean, they have guns in there, for Christ's sake. I half expect to turn a corner and see a couple of dudes in tank tops beating each other to death with reasonably priced jugs of Tide. And the social contract is not a physical thing, but when you walk into a Walmart, you swear you can see it crumble. And it's night and day too. You step in, you're like, ooh. It's like Mordor, the Shire. Totally. It spills out into the parking lot sometimes too, because I saw 2 Muslim dudes in dashikis choking each other out over a parking spot. And I was for a second, they're going, well, I don't know why there's people worried that these guys are coming into our country, because as far as I'm concerned, those 2 dudes had America figured out. In fact, I think that should just be our citizenship test, right? Someone new comes to the country, I see here you're from the Sudan, okay, cool. No, quick question. Are you willing to fist fight in a Walmart over a box of Pampers? Yes? Welcome to America. I was there for a secondary reason too this time, because I joined a gym recently because I'm aging up. I turned 46 this year and I gotta undo a lot of bad decisions. Quite frankly, I didn't think I was gonna be here at this time. My people die young. But now here I am, I'm 46, and shit's going sideways, so I have to fix that. And it kind of feels like I'm trying to finish my science project the night before it's due. I'm just frantically going, maybe if I fake sick, they'll let me turn it in the day after tomorrow. But no, 46 years old, I'm aging. There's a lot of things that suck about aging. 46-year-old, I can't watch MILF porn anymore. Last time I turned on MILF porn, I looked at it and was like, that woman's 23 years old. MILF is just a word that they mean in porn, not 18 anymore. That's all that means. And as a 46-year-old, MILF porn becomes something totally different. Now, in my mind, MILF porn is just a woman with her hair in a bun cooking a pot roast. That's what I'm into now. So I joined a gym. I'm trying to get healthier, to shave some pounds. I'm one of those people now that gets up at 5:30 in the morning, 5 to 6 days a week and goes to a gym. I'm still having trouble adjusting to the fact that I'm awake at 5:30 in the morning and I'm not in a drug den. And so I was there in Walmart to buy clothing for the gym because I don't know what you're supposed to do. This is all new to me. I bought a garment called compression shorts. I can hear some of you know what those are. Okay, can I get a quick round of applause if you do not know what compression shorts are? Good, I'm not the only idiot. For those of you wondering, compression shorts are very tight underwear that are designed to keep your dick part from flopping around when you're on the treadmill. Which is a good thing because you need to keep your footlocker stowed. That's great. The ones I bought had a pouch in front of the dong, and I did not know what that was for, so I had just been keeping my keys in there. Did a little Googling, turns out it's an airflow pocket for ventilation. Which now, I don't keep my keys in there, but I have another problem. That problem is every time I pull my keys out to enter my apartment, I start to crave corned beef and cabbage. Everybody always does that. Like this is not the first time you are getting the news that sweaty balls get smelly, right? And brass holds on to odors. So, here I am, in a Walmart, buying compression shorts to get my gym on. It's going pretty good. I'm down about 25 pounds. Thank you, I'll take it. Although part of me feels like 25 pounds is not necessarily a woo weight, it's just like a weight. So down 25 pounds. I'm not exactly where I need to be yet, which was evident to me when I was in a bookstore over the weekend. There was another couple in the same aisle I was in at the bookstore, and they had brought in a box of donuts, and they set the donuts down, and a lady who worked at the bookstore came over and goes, "So I assume those are your donuts?" And I was like, "No, I just look like they're my donuts." Except I didn't come back fast enough with that. Like, I said that, but there was like a good 8-second time lapse between it. Because the first thing I did is I got flabbergasted, like I was a fat lady insulted by Groucho Marx in an old movie. I was like, "Oh, I never." And then I was like, "No, I just look like they're my donut." Which is, if you come back with a zing too late, doesn't work. You're just boom, crash and burn. So I'm like, well, fuck, I gotta keep working hard enough. Get more time in at the gym. And honestly, I'm not very self-conscious about my appearance. I just have two main fitness goals. One, I want to be able to bang my old lady from behind without falling over like a rotten log. And I want to be able to buy pants at a store that does not have the word surplus in the name. I'm sick and tired of buying my pants at the same stores that outfit doomsday preppers. I was like, "Excellent choice of pants, sir. Would you like these number 10 cans of beefaroni?" No, just the pants today. Just the pants. Because when you're a big guy, I don't know if a lot of people know this, when you're a big guy, they don't have a lot of things on the rack for you to just grab and go and buy. So you have a couple options. One of them is you go on the internet, order clothes off the internet. The other option is you use a fat guy catalog. And I don't know if you've ever seen a fat guy catalog, but the people who run those things seem to think we like a whole lot of tie-dye. It's like they're literally saying, "Hey, fatso, you don't have any dignity. How about you wear this shit?" It's like, "Look, I know you don't have a problem with people seeing you, but how about you buy this t-shirt that makes you look like a wedding cake?" And speaking of wedding cakes, I had to stand up at a friend's wedding a couple years ago. And when you stand up in a wedding, you can't wear clothing that has the words iron or maiden on them. So you need to get wedding clothes. And when you get wedding clothes, you can't buy them out of a catalog or online because you need to make sure they're fitted correctly. So you have to go somewhere, and somebody has to measure you with a tape measure. And when that happens, you know that day at least 2 people are going to be bummed out. Because what I'm working with underneath this shirt, this isn't good. Underneath here is what it looks like if you put tattoos on ice cream and then dropped it at the zoo. It's fine, man. I know what I look like. Look, I don't have a problem with how I look. I tell people I'm built like a candle. I'm pretty hot on top, but the rest looks like melting. And I once used my weight to get out of a seatbelt ticket in Reno, Nevada. I said these words to a state trooper's face. I said, "I'm too fat for the belt." Didn't even challenge me. He just stared at me like he was RoboCop and he was using that green screen computer brain to properly assess my lie. He went "Too fat for the belt. 98% probability. On your way, sissin'." I love me some shitty food, man. I'm eyeballing them chili cheese fries right there. You wanna go halvesies? I got cash. I love it. Bad food. It's my... Look, I have a problem. That problem is if you take 2 shitty foods and you combine them into a third super shitty food, I am too willing to hear that as a good idea. I'm like, bacon, cheeseburger, pizza, you, sir, have my attention. And I see you've solved the lettuce problem. Like, Chinese nachos, man, I don't even know what those are, but I got 2 words for you, when and where. And I don't want to stop there. I want my mind blown by other, like, shit food combinations. Like, I want a soul food burrito, man. Can you imagine that? Like, beans and rice and oxtails and greens wrapped up in, oh, fuck, yeah. And a Thanksgiving Benedict, that's what I'm looking for. You know? Shit, I gotta go jerk off, man. I'll be... Because I put a lot of crap in this body, man. If you could see my insides, they probably just look like photographs of Detroit. And I've eaten so much shitty food that I think I've permanently changed my body chemistry, because I've never gotten sick off of Taco Bell, but I have gotten sick off of grapes. I had a pretty weird upbringing. I was raised by hippies. My parents were big hippies. My parents had like this weird notion that they wanted me to engage with the world at an early age. And the way they decided to do that was by showing me age-inappropriate shit and then wanting to have a conversation about it. They gave me a copy of The Joy of Sex for my 12th birthday. They didn't even wrap it. I came home from school, it was on my bed. It had been opened to a picture of the clitoris, which I think my mom did. And it was nice that she wanted me to learn, but it felt a little judgy. It was almost like she was saying, honey, your dad and I haven't figured out if you're going to grow up to be very handsome, so we think you're going to need to know a few things. And it was Joy of Sex from the 70s, too, so it was like... A lot of bush, which is fine. That's the age I am. I imprinted on that. I'm down with the pubes. If you're not down with them, that's cool. Don't have them. But you know what I think would be funny is if we as a society just decided that whatever you choose to have, like maybe 3 months out of the year, do the opposite for you and yours, you know? So if you're gonna have bush 9 months out of the year, no bush 3 months out of the year. So then it becomes a special holiday treat like the pumpkin spice latte or eggnog. And it was also pretty confusing for a kid, like, it was pretty confusing for a kid looking at The Joy of Sex, because like if you couldn't see the people's faces while they were doing it, with all that hair, it just looked like 2 bath mats stapled to a hose. And I don't know. I would catch my parents fucking all the time too. Like way more times than you want to catch your parents fucking. That number, if you want to know, is 0 times if you're keeping track at home. Yeah, I'd come home and they'd be doing it and I'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ. And my parents, being like big hippies, were like, you know, we don't believe in Jesus in this house. And I'd be like, I don't think you're getting my point. And they would go, well, we thought you were staying at Joe's this weekend. And I said, Joe got sick, so they sent me home. Do you think you could cover up? And my parents would go, well, this is what couples in love do. And I said, yeah, I know that, but you guys are in the backyard. My parents grew and sold their own weed, and they were okay with taking stolen merchandise for it. I grew up in a house that had 1 TV and 9 cable boxes. And the first time I ever saw a picture of Jesus, I thought he was the Zigzag Man. This is the result you get. This is what happens when you're raised by not 1 but 2 people who thought it was a good idea to trade weed for a waterbed, is that I grow up to look like a wizard you would summon if you needed help hot wiring a car. Now, I'm a 46-year-old man that owns Ninja Stars, and I once went to a white trash theme party where my costume was just a t-shirt I already owned. What I'm telling you folks is I'm a dude that dudes with face tattoos think is their friend. Because I don't know what it is about this face, but people seem to think it's safe to be shitty around it. I've had complete strangers come up to me and tell me about entire episodes of Sons of Anarchy. And worse than that, I always get the unwanted conversation with the lonely racist. Yeah, that sucks. But there is a silver lining here, and that silver lining is that I have a new life skill, and that life skill is I know when I need to be somewhere else very fast. Because I can tell from 3 blocks away when a neighborhood crazy with a cat on his shoulder looks like he needs to enthusiastically share a racial slur with me because he thinks I might cook meth. And I can't even stand near the door of a bar without people just handing me their ID. Some of the words I've said to women more than any other are, I'm sorry, I'm not following you, I live this way too. I get it, I seem like I own a sword. Or at the very least, I seem like I might live in a van with some kind of a weird pet, you know, like the pet you have to feed other pets to. Where I'm like, hey baby, want to come back to my van and watch me feed rats to a monitor lizard? I get it. I was at a bar the other day. It was one of those bars that pretend to be a speakeasy from the 1920s, you know, where you have to know a secret password or knock a shave and a haircut or something to get your beer. And I'm not down with that. I'm through with that kind of bullshit because, like, look, if you have a license, you're not a speakeasy. Let's define what a speakeasy was. A speakeasy certainly was not a kitschy environment where tech workers would go to crawl behind a repurposed bookshelf in order to pay too much money for an old-fashioned made out of oranges they grew on the fucking roof. Right? Speakeasy was a hellhole of a basement where poor people went to drink antifreeze out of a bathtub until they were paralyzed. If you leave a bar and you do not have a limp, you are not at a speakeasy. But I started thinking, Washington State now, we've legalized marijuana. Yeah, it was a good thing. And I think if we can have those phony speakeasies, I think what people should start doing is they should start opening up pot shops that recreate the experience of buying weed in a sketchy situation. You know, like a haunted house. Like, you know, they got those haunted corn mazes, right, where people dress up like Freddy Krueger, chase you around. That's what they should be doing in pot shops. There should be a guy there whose job it is to just sit there and tell you that in order to get your weed, you have to smoke crack with them to prove you're not a cop. Because people do like weird shit that, like, you know, atavistic stuff that's like, people run those mud runs so they know what it's like being a caveman or whatever without having a saber-toothed tiger chasing them. And half the time I think CrossFit's so popular is because everybody's ashamed that they no longer do real work. So we should have that for pot shops, because, like, first, young people need to know, you know? Young people need to know what kind of shit we had to go through if we ever wanted to be comfortably high on a Friday night. You know, back when our only option was to ride around town on a city bus and hope we saw someone who looked guilty. Shit, you know, I had to get weed, I had to get into a car with a stranger. Yeah. The thing your parents tell you all your life never to do. And I did it a lot. I had to get in a shit brown Ford LTD with a dude who looked like Charles Manson, who I met 10 minutes ago in the parking lot of a roller rink just on the off chance there was weed at the end of this story. And I always had to take the ride too, because I was the big guy in my high school group. They'd say, you get in the car with him, Jason. I'd say, why me? They're like, well, in case you have to fight him. I'm like, you fucking fight him, I'm 14. I can't go hands with this Vietnam-looking motherfucker. This is a dude who 100% took a shit in his own helmet while maintaining eye contact with Charlie. That's not a fight I'm gonna come out on the right side of. What they were saying to me is that I just seemed like I could take the most punches until whatever passes for help arrived. You know how happy I was when my high school crew got a second big guy? That way we could trade off that chore every other week. I could tell him, I'm sorry, Tony, this weekend is your weekend to maybe get murdered. Besides, I think party stories are going to get weird now, too. Like, I'm going to be at a party one of these days, and I'm going to turn to a kid next to me, and I'm going to say, hey, man, one time I had to help push a Camaro out of a ditch so we could go buy weed from an Indian dude named Jer Bear. How about you? And that kid's going to go, well, I went to a clean and well-lit place of business, and I bought Alaska Thunderfuck with my mom's visa. And besides, people think it's going to be all like happiness and rainbows, right? You know, I don't know. I think we're going to lose some essential life skills. The fight or flight response is going to disappear. We're going to end up a nation of amorphous blobs floating around in those fatso chairs from the movie WALL-E, and we'll be doing dabs or whatever. And we'll turn to each other and we'll go, however did it come to this? And someone will say, oh, this is because we no longer had to know how to jump over a fence to get away from a guy with a teardrop tattoo and a butterfly knife. You remember the butterfly knife, right? The old school fidget spinner? Oh, you guys have been great. That was my time. Thank you so much. I'm Jason Gill.
Keep it going for Jason Gold. Yes. Are you guys ready for your headliner? I think this dude deserves a little more love than that, guys. There we go. Yeah, he's got a special coming out on Amazon. Y'all know the name. Make some noise for Brian Posehn.